Hidden along backcountry roads, tucked away in dense groves of pine trees and palmettos, beyond winding coastal creeks and weathered rail fences, lie the places where South Carolina's Revolutionary War history unfolded. Hidden in plain sight, these locations present a different story of the American Revolution. Here, it was not simply a struggle between British and American rights and interests, but rather South Carolina became the theater where control of the American colonies would be decided. The region's men and women, places, and stories from the American Revolution are often overshadowed. But it can be argued that the Palmetto State contributed more to the cause of independence than any other. For it was here, in South Carolina, that the Revolution was won. (1765). Merchant ships crowded harbors all along the coast of South Carolina. Slaves arrived daily and were sold to wealthy farmers and planters to labor on rice and indigo plantations that produced the colony's great wealth. At the height of its power, a victorious Britain looked to South Carolina and other colonies to help pay for the costly victory in the French and Indian War. South Carolina was expanding in population, westward reach, and affluence. It seemed poised for seemingly limitless prosperity. However, after the British Parliament imposed direct taxes upon the colony far across the Atlantic, many South Carolinians were at a breaking point and were willing to risk their fortunes and lives in the name of their freedoms. We are not contending for trifles, but for liberty itself. These words, declared by Christopher Gadsden during the Stamp Act crisis of 1765, epitomize the growing dissatisfaction with British rule. South Carolina's men and women were ready to act against the Crown, believing the overreaching British government had crossed an age-old political boundary. In 1772, Charleston's royal governor relocated the elected assembly to Beaufort in an attempt to diminish the strong anti-British sentiments in Charleston. In 1773, British Parliament imposed a new tax on tea. The angry people of Charleston refused to let new tea shipments be sold. A revolution was taking root. In 1775, Patriots seized barrels of gunpowder from the King's magazines and stormed Fort Johnson in Charleston Harbor. From behind the ramparts, the soldiers raised a blue flag with a white crescent. It would become an emblem of their distinct identity and separation from British rule. But not all of South Carolina was in favor of the Patriot cause. In the backcountry, many were still loyal to the Crown, and the colony's growing enslaved populations saw the British as their possible liberators. A revolution was simultaneously gaining traction in the colony and polarizing its people. South Carolinians would soon discover the battle for one's rights, for liberty, would affect everyone and would come at a great cost. War came to South Carolina in November of 1775. The first battle, fought in Charleston Harbor, pitted the Patriot vessel Defense against two Royal Navy ships. That same month, at the Battle of 96, James Birmingham became the first South Carolina Patriot killed in the war. In June of 1776, a massive fleet arrived off Charleston. On the site of the modern Fort Moultrie, a Patriot force, commanded by Colonel William Moultrie, defended the harbor against Sir Peter Parker's Royal British Navy and Sir Henry Clinton's British Army. Patriots risked their lives inside an unfinished palmetto log fort. Though they were outnumbered and outgunned, the spongy palmetto logs of the fort absorbed the energy of the incoming British fire, while Moultrie's men drove off the British fleet. The stunning victory on June 28th would be commemorated every year thereafter as Carolina Day. As cannons thundered along the coast, South Carolina's delegates in Philadelphia, Arthur Middleton, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., and Edward Rutledge, voted for independence. Their homes, including Middleton Place and Hopsweed Plantation, remain powerful places of connection to the Revolution. In late 1778, British forces returned to the South, pursuing a new Southern strategy. They captured Savannah. In February 1779, a force under General William Moultrie took on British regulars at the Battle of Port Royal Island. Thomas Hayward Jr. and Edward Rutledge, both signers of the Declaration of Independence, commanded companies in the battle. The victory proved that South Carolina's patriots could beat the British Redcoats in a conventional land battle. That spring, British General Augustine Prevost marched toward Charleston, but was forced to retreat after heavy fighting at Stono Ferry. Charleston remained free, for now. In February 1780, General Henry Clinton returned to the colony with more than 12,000 troops. Clinton's army besieged the city of Charleston. American defenders, under General Benjamin Lincoln, held out as long as possible. A small remnant of their fortification can still be seen in Marion Square. On May 12th, over 5,000 Americans surrendered. The greatest American defeat of the war. Charleston fell under British occupation. American reinforcements were overrun at the Battle of Waxhaws. They tried to surrender, but many were killed by the British Legion under Banastre Tarleton. Though the British took Georgetown in July, South Carolinians on and off the battlefield continued to defy their occupiers. At the Hayward-Washington House, Elizabeth Hayward refused to comply with orders to celebrate British victories and endured loyalist mobs who pelted her house with garbage. Her home still stands as a testament to her determined resistance. Violence escalated in the state. British commander Lord Cornwallis used executions, property seizures, and acts of terror to maintain control. His crushing defeat of a new American army at the Battle of Camden in August 1780 solidified British control of the region. Camden remained an important British base during the war, and to this day, the historic site exhibits the area's Revolutionary War history. After Camden, the Continental Army was driven from South Carolina. A violent civil war swept across the land. Neighbors fought neighbors. Families were split along bitter political lines. Churches and homes were burned. Prince William's Parish Church, now better known as Old Sheldon, was destroyed in retaliatory violence by Loyalist forces. With the organized Patriot resistance shattered, local militia leaders stepped forward. Andrew Pickens, Thomas Sumter, and Francis Marion led elusive partisan attacks against the British. Enslaved and free men alike joined their ranks, including Jim Capers, who fought alongside Marion until the war's end. At its darkest hour, victories at Huck's Defeat, Blue Savannah, and Black Mingo restored hope in the Patriot cause. As Cornwallis pressed north, Patriot resistance stiffened. Thomas Sumter defeated Loyalists at Hanging Rock, aided by allied Catawba warriors, including Peter Harris. In October 1780, Over-Mountain men attacked Loyalist forces atop Kings Mountain. The Patriot victory splintered Loyalist militias in the region and forced Cornwallis to consolidate his forces. Walk in the Patriots' footsteps at the Kings Mountain National Military Park and visit the monuments commemorating the historic battle. In January of 1781, an army under General Daniel Morgan scored a stunning victory at the Battle of Cowpens. devastating Bannister Tarleton's British Legion and spiriting up the people for the Patriot cause. Today, you can visit the site and study Morgan's battlefield brilliance. In 1781, George Washington appointed Nathanael Greene to command of the Southern Department, and the Continental Army returned to the state. Upon reaching the Carolinas, Greene observed, "The division among the people is much greater than I imagined. They persecute each other with little less than savage fury." Greene's army employed a strategy to weary the British. Cornwallis was drawn into an exhausting march through the Carolinas. Though the British were victorious at Guilford Courthouse, Cornwallis's army was worn down by the challenging terrain and heavy casualties. He made the fateful decision to march his remaining army to Virginia. As Cornwallis headed north, Greene returned to South Carolina, and many Patriot victories followed. Patriot forces captured Fort Watson, using an innovative siege tower. And at the Battle of Fort Mott, Rebecca Mott bravely offered up her own bow and arrows, encouraging Patriot forces to set her own occupied home on fire, a defiant, selfless act celebrated to this day. Although Greene failed to take 96 after a grueling siege, British control began to waver. Georgetown was evacuated in June of 1781. That September at Eutaw Springs, Greene's forces nearly destroyed a British army before being driven back. At the Eutaw Springs battlefield, you can see where British and American muskets flared in one of the war's bloodiest battles. By the end of 1781, British forces had retreated to strongholds in Charleston and Beaufort. Facing mounting losses and global threats, Britain made the fateful decision to leave South Carolina in 1782. General William Moultrie watched as the last of the British soldiers sailed from Charleston Harbor. He said, "This 14th day of December 1782 ought never to be forgotten as the real day of their deliverance and independence." After 30 months of occupation and bloodshed, South Carolinians reclaimed their state. Though the war began and ended in Charleston, the struggle for independence was won in the forests, swamps, and backcountry crossroads. Today, by visiting these battlefields, homes, museums, churches, and graves, we honor those sacrifices and remember where American independence from Britain was truly forged.